Hello, my withdrawal warriors. I'm back again. Sorry for the delay. I have such an urge tonight to get on here because I have been on a lot of Facebook chats, or at least seeing them. Withdrawal chats, of course. Let's keep it relevant. And my heart is breaking. My heart is breaking. Sorry, I don't want to have dead air, but okay, so what I'm thinking, I'm trying to get it out, is this is an epidemic. This is an unrecognized epidemic that has been imposed on us, those who are dealing with stuff like, depression, anxiety, you can go through the list. And, a lot of this is really unnecessary. I'm not sure if I've actually said verbally, I may have said in the description, like, I'm not anti-drugs. Like, some people need it, don't get me wrong. It is way overdone. It is way, way overdone. And I probably shouldn't get into that position right now, but my heart is breaking for all of these people that are going through withdrawal. And I didn't ask why. I didn't ask why they decided to get off of it. It doesn't matter. But the fact that they don't want to be or don't need to be on these drugs anymore. And it was hard enough. I can imagine the circumstances. It was hard enough what was going on to end up taking these drugs. And then to get off of them, and the pain and the misery was not what we have gone through enough. And now this. I don't have the comments in front of me right now. Maybe in another video I will read them. But I cannot tell you enough how heartbreaking this is. And on top of it, on top of what somebody's gone through to get on the medication, what circumstances happened while they were on it to lead them to getting off of it. Now, friends and family are not supportive, really. They don't understand. And, part of me would say, okay, they don't understand. But the lack of support is detrimental. My heart's going out to you. I'm trying to get it together. Just bear with me. Whether it is, I've heard, why don't you just stay on it or get back on it? Or, that's light. There is the opposite, and I've gotten something along those lines, being yelled at. I don't even know why you got off of it. There's a whole spectrum of non-supportiveness, I'm making up a word, from those that you had hoped to support you. And that's heartbreaking. It really is. I know I keep using that word, but that's what's going on with me right now. And on top of those that are around you, your family and your friends, associates that might not understand, whether it's them not understanding or flat out against getting off of these drugs, then there's the professionals who don't understand. And I've been there too. I've had nurses, doctors straight up guessing. Just throwing something out there and seeing what sticks. Oh, well, maybe you should take it every other day. I was like, really? Why is that? And I could tell by the tone of this person's voice, well, I don't know. If you give it and take it away, I'm just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I've heard this multiple times. I've heard it from the pharmacist. I've heard it from a nurse. No, you do the research like I have, and that is the worst thing you can do. Okay, don't take it from me because I'm not a professional, but from my research, don't do the every other day or once in a while thing. That's not okay. That's going to keep you in a cycle of the withdrawal. My personal recommendation, again, I'm not a professional, but my personal recommendation is the slowest taper that you can tolerate. And I rushed it. There's a video about that. Maybe I'll put the link to that. I rushed it. I took a gamble in rushing it. But that was my choice. And the crappy thing about this whole withdrawal syndrome is that it is your choice. I don't feel like the professionals are helpful. There are professionals out there that are experiencing this, but from what I can tell, they're few and far between. Where I am in a small town, and I don't even know if that has anything to do with it, they had no idea. I may have said in past videos that the prescribing doctor did everything but shrug and throw his hands up. He said, well, taper at what's comfortable for you. I was like, you leave me to my own devices, really? Because I'm looking to you, the doctor, the one with the paper, who is supposed to have all this experience and knowledge. You got a doctorate, right? I'm looking to you for the guidance, for the advice, and you just I'm sorry, you guys. I'm so frustrated. He just said, do what's comfortable for you. So yeah, I was left to my own devices. I don't even remember how I discovered this. By the grace of God, I discovered survivingantidepressants.org. And besides tapering methods, there were inspirational stories about healing. There are also the horror stories, which I went down the rabbit hole of, and in a way it helps to know that you're not alone, but don't get too caught up in that. Which was another thing that I had to read. Don't get caught up in all of the horror stories, because it will probably, I would say that it helps to a degree, but it might feed into that suffering that you're experiencing. I think my first video actually was finding meaning in your withdrawal. And when I saw that post, I don't remember it being a moment of change, but you know what? It did change my journey. I have a child. I want to do big things. I have goals. I have dreams. I just want to live. Even if you're not thinking of like some big thing like graduating from college, having your career, whatever, just being healthy. That is what it's about. That's what it's about. Being a human being, living without all the suffering from trying to get off a medication that you probably started taking because of your suffering. My heart goes out to all of you so much. And if you're just somebody who knows somebody who's going through this, give them grace. You might not understand. You probably don't. I didn't know any of this until I went through it. If somebody told me all of this before I had experienced it, well, you know what? I don't know how I would have reacted. You just don't know until you know. You don't know until you've gone through it. It's horrible. I mean, there's such a range of symptoms. There's insomnia. And I'm naming that first because that was a huge one for me the last go around. There is, there's a fancy word for it, but I won't go into it, where I would, if I moved quickly, it created a weird feeling. It was bizarre. It was nothing I've ever felt before or since, where if I moved quickly, it was kind of disorienting. It's not quite vertigo, but the way I've described it before was it was almost like my soul or my spirit had to catch up with my body. It was bizarre. I've heard of brain zaps. I experienced nausea, lack of appetite. I don't know if this was like the withdrawal per se or getting back to normal, but I was emotional. I would cry really easily. I already feel like crying easily, but it was just like, the way I described it was if a fly fell or landed on my pizza, I would cry. I mean, it was a lot. It was like feeling again is probably what it was. I was feeling again. And that was a good thing. But as I've said before, this is where learning coping skills is essential. Learning coping skills. And this is probably why a lot of us have taken medications, is because we weren't taught, or we never had coping skills. And the Western world, at least, will say, take a pill, take a pill, take a pill. And we expect to have, I don't know, a normal life at the least, taking these pills. And a lot of us are going through adverse circumstances. Understandably, we want some relief. Negative relationships. And when I say relationships, I mean everything. It could be family, job, if it is a relationship, that's what I mean. If you're dealing with some negative relationship of any type, there's grief if you've lost a loved one. to death, high stress, they're, a stressful job. I mean, anything. So I'll get off of it now, but I would say most of us have probably gotten to the point of desperation where we didn't know what to do because we don't know how to handle it. Coping skills. A lot of it is boundaries, and I name that in particular because that was a challenge for me. It still is, actually. I've gotten a lot better, but I'm still working on it. Boundaries. Okay? There's somebody out there who hears exactly what I'm saying, and it hits home. Boundaries. Sometimes you have to say no. It's hard. It's just a 1-syllable, 2-letter word, but no is powerful, and you don't even have to explain yourself. I feel like there was more I was gonna say. That's right. So this goes into how I tapered. There's a video on that also, and I will put that in the description at the very least, or a card. I used a jewelry scale, and I demonstrated how to do that. And kind of folding all of this in, I was in an abusive relationship where I basically had no money. I had no access to money. So it was, at the time, 2020, $20 for this jewelry scale. And I couldn't buy it. I didn't have the means to buy it. So at the time I was trying to taper from trazodone, I would take the tablet, and it was easy in the beginning to break it in half and break it into quarters, and by the time I was trying to break it into eighths, it would just kind of crumble, and it wasn't working. It was really inaccurate, or I couldn't get it into an eighth of a tablet. So what I ended up doing was taking a picture with my phone each night, and I was using a nail file, or emery board, some people would call it. And if I saw a little bit of a difference as I was tapering, I would just try to either make it the same or a little bit less, depending on if I was holding that dose or reducing that dose, which you can imagine at that dose is really inaccurate. The lower you go, the slower you should go. And I'm getting this term again from survivingantidepressants.org, and it's true. The lower I went, the harder it got. And I did my best. I would take a picture, and this is eyeing it up, and this is from like an artist's point of view. Like I have an eye for this type of stuff, and not everybody does. And so there you have another challenge if you don't quite have an eye for, size or measurement. So finally, my mom got a jewelry or micro scale for me, because when I stayed with her at a point and I showed her what I do every night to prepare my pills, and she actually started crying and couldn't believe this is what it had come to. What I do to try to taper off of this medication. I was actually shocked. I was shocked that she was so moved that this is what I had come to. And furthermore, I had seen videos on YouTube in the past of people measuring their pills on a scale, and I thought that was just over the top. I was like, are you serious? No. Like, that really, I couldn't believe it. Because again, I didn't go through it. Back to people not understanding. I just thought that was dramatic, maybe is the word. And then I was that person. So, in any case, yeah, she bought the scale for me, and that's how I had continued micro tapering. At that point, it was trazodone. I went from, at the height of the dose was 300 milligrams of my little self. And from the time I actually started tapering 300 milligrams down to nothing, it took about 10 months. So between getting off the Saffras and because of the insomnia, getting on the trazodone, I considered my withdrawal. It was about 54 weeks. Yeah, I count it in weeks. You can subtract a month when I was on the trazodone to try to get my bearings. I took it because of the insomnia from getting off the Saffras. Yeah, it was a long, hard, virtually sleepless year. But I did it. You can do it. Take it slow. I rushed it. There's another video on that too. I took the gamble that, and this is a gamble, I'm telling you. You don't know with withdrawal what's gonna happen. I took the gamble of more suffering for less time. So I went a little faster than recommended, and it was rough. And I did it in just over a year. But if you don't have a reason to, and I know it's tempting. I don't even want to say if you don't have a reason to rush it, but that's my story. Let me just put it that way. That's my story. Let me remind you, none of this is necessarily a recommendation. I'm telling you my story. So take it or leave it. And I know you can do it, and my heart goes out to you. I am in about 4 withdrawal chats right now on Facebook, and that's just about all I can handle because I know there's more than that. And my goodness, they're just in the 4 chats that I am in. My heart is breaking. I've been blessed. I've really been blessed, lucky, whatever you want to call it. That it was the way it was. Insomnia and lack of appetite, nausea, because the things that I've seen on the internet. The akathisia, I think is the way you say it. That typically happens with benzo withdrawal. The need to keep moving. I've seen that happen with Effexor, actually. And people have themselves. It's been documented. It's known that the withdrawal is that bad. And please don't give up. Please don't give up. Please don't give up. Please don't give up. We need you. We need you. We need you. We need you. I am keeping you in my prayers. And lastly, please comment your experience, whether it's a good one or a bad one. We need more people to get behind this movement. Other people need to know. The higher ups need to know. Changes need to be made. This over prescribing and also the lack of knowledge. Why would they want us to get off of this medication anyway? They're making so much money. They're making so much money. Call me a conspiracy theorist. It's not a theory. It's not a theory. It's true. Follow the money. Follow the money and get back to me. Leave it in the comments. That's all you gotta do. Like, why? Why? Just why? Just think about that. So, if you've made it to the end, if you've made it to this point, thank you so much. I know it was a little bit long. I know it was a little bit of a rant. But I love you guys so much. And you know who loves you the most? Jesus. Call on Jesus. If you never have before, call on Jesus. And if you have, keep calling on Jesus. He loves you. He will heal you. By His stripes we are healed, it says in the Word. You are healed. You will see that day. I love you. Jesus loves you. Amen.